So today what we're going to be doing is working on a Photoshop tutorial on bringing sprites, animated sprites, into your Gamesalad game. So first thing we got to do is go out online. We need to look for game sprites. You can also look for sprite sheets. You want to try and find things that are transparent. These right here, they have a white background. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. And in fact, Mega Man's probably a good one to get a hold of, so I'm going to go ahead and save him. I'll just save it to my desktop. And then another option, let me see, we're looking for a transparent background, so you can actually put trans or transparent. Transparent's probably better. And there we go. So if you see a checkerboard like this, that means it's got a transparent background. Sometimes they're hard to come across, but a lot of times when you click on it, when you finally get into the sprite sheet, it'll show that it has a transparent background. Now here's another problem. While at school, a lot of things are going to be blocked because we block games, right? I've asked them to not block games and they say no, but that's also going to block you as far as finding your sprites. So some of this stuff you may have to do from home. Another consideration when looking at which sprites you want to get a hold of is what animations are available to you. Now this Scott Pilgrim one right here actually looks pretty versatile. You know, we've got a little idle right here. We've got a run. That's pretty handy. We're going to need a run. We need a movement. It doesn't matter because we're going to flip that graphic inside Gamesalad, so you don't have to worry about that. Looks like we have some kind of taunt here maybe. We have a wind up, some kind of power up thing here. And we've got an attack, which most of you guys are going to need. He's got a guitar attack and a punch, and then he's got some kind of power up and a possible projectile. So think about what you need for your player or for your enemies when you're looking at these animations, because it's going to be difficult to make your own. So look for something that's already out there. I'm going to go ahead and work on the Mega Man one that I downloaded. And first thing we got to do is find it. I put it on my desktop so it'd be easy to find. And we're going to go right click, we're going to go open with Photoshop. Now you could also use GIMP, which is free, and you can download it to your computer at home if you want to. It has a lot of the same functionality that Photoshop does, but since we have Photoshop, I want to go ahead and give you guys a little tutorial in Photoshop. It is something I'm a little more versed in, although GIMP is pretty powerful. You can work with it pretty well. If we take a look at the sprite sheet we have here for Mega Man, we do see quite a few different things that we're going to need. We have a run. We have what looks like an idle right here. We have a jump. We're going to need a jump. It looks like we also have a climbing the ladder and being able to shoot. Okay, he does climb up ladders and down ladders. We have a run with the gun out. We have a run without the gun out. Okay, so these are pretty much everything I'm going to need for my Mega Man game. Okay, so first things first, we're going to use the slice tool to cut up our sprite sheet. And before we even do that, someone brought up that we need to get rid of our background. So I'm going to use the magic eraser tool. Now one thing about Photoshop is if you don't see what you need, you can always go up to help. They will tell you. It's like, I want to erase the background. Or you might just say background. Step background, new background. There's also Google if I'm not available. But the magic eraser tool will take care of a lot of the things in your, it'll kind of protect your foreground, but what you really want is your background eraser tool, because this is, we can do this, you can do it real kind of slow if you need to get around some edges, but a lot of times, especially with white, now this is kind of tough because if you have a black background or a white background, it might also take out some of the white in your characters, but we're going to give this a shot. We should be able to just click here on the white and it all goes away. Okay, so that's nice and handy. And let's see, everything looks pretty good. I don't think I lost the eyes or anything. That's one thing I was a little bit worried about, taking out the white like that, but I think we're doing okay. All right, now I'm zooming around using Command minus and Command plus, so you don't have to worry about, all right, I want to go up here, I'm going to go to view, I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to zoom out. Yeah, just use Command plus and minus. That'll make things a little bit easier for you. You can also resize parts of your Photoshop palette here. Oh, palette, no, it's not, it's just your workspace. And looks like these are mostly going down, which is a little different. A lot of times they read from left to right. If I bring up another one, I think I've got it out here. Let me see. Right here. So if I look at another set of stuff I've got here, where is, oh, you know what? I've got it in another file over here. maybe this thing will need a little bit of editing when I get done with it. But if I'm working with something, let's say I've got this Samus one here. I'm a big fan of Metroid. And with this one, you do see a lot of her animations going from left to right. Okay, so this is her facing left, facing right. It has everything facing in different directions, which is kind of handy. We have our run, but you can see these are usually laid out left to right or across. Now the Mega Man one we're looking at goes down, and that's not a big deal. It's just situated a little differently. And we're going to go in and get our slice tool and start cutting this thing up as soon as I can get a hold of this. There we go. All right, so the slice tool is under usually what shows as the crop tool. We're going to go right here. We're going to do slice. It looks like a scalpel. Now the thing to pay attention to when you're slicing up your sprite sheet is you want to try and keep the squares the same size, and you want to try and make sure you're as close to the picture itself, to the image itself, as possible. If you give any space outside of it, the collider for this is actually the square that you're going to slice out. Okay? You guys might have noticed that if you put in graphics of any kind, other than the squares that you have, that you can make in Gamesalad and color them, things like that, wherever it collides is right at the edge of where this is. So I'm going to just do the idle animation right here. So we're going to slice right here. Make sure it goes right under the feet. Okay? You don't want to cut anything off. So just before you move to your next one, it gives you an option to kind of shrink these things down. Now, right now this looks like I'm sitting a little, these are all kind of in a row, although it looks like it kind of comes back a little bit. So on this one, you're going to have to cheat a little bit. When they're left to right, a lot of times they're lined up where their feet are all in the same space, so you can align them according to your feet. In this case, I'm not really going to be able to, so I'm going to have to eyeball it a little bit. I'm going to slice this again. Looks like I lost a little bit of that toe, so I'm going to pull it out. And if you're not quite getting the control you need, if you zoom in, it'll allow you to have a little bit better control. So I can get a little bit closer here. And I think that's actually not too bad. And then I want to pull this back. Now, this is probably going to show us a little bit of an anomaly whenever we get into Gamesalad, but I'll show you what that is after we get to it. I don't want to cut off his head, because as you notice up here, he's got a little space above his head. This one he doesn't. So we're going to have to work with that a little bit. He might look a little squishy as he walks around. Have to be kind of careful with that. This is where your sense of artistry can kick in, because you're going to have to eyeball it a little bit. All right, and then we got this last one right here. Now, if you have to, you can always bring these back into Photoshop and you can kind of adjust them a little bit depending on if you need to crop some more. Maybe you need to add a little bit more to it. This one, now that it's done, I can't go back and fix it. Okay, so before you move on, like this one's going to be a problem because it's too big. Like the square doesn't really match up. This one kind of matches this one, kind of matches this one and this one. Whenever we finally drop it into Gamesalad, this one's probably going to give us a little bit of a problem. So that is actually going to work out okay. All right, anything else we want to grab here? No, I think we're good. Okay, so we're just going to do the idle animation. What we have to do now that we've got this cut up is we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Save for Web. Now the best thing for Gamesalad is to save it as a GIF or a PNG. Okay, PNG seems to be preferable most of the time. So right now it's already set for PNG, and the reason for that is PNG and GIF will give you a transparent background. So it'll save this transparency that we've given to the background. And we need to select which ones we want. Now if we don't do this, it's going to give us the whole sheet and these guys cut out. Okay, so we'll get a whole big sheet with all these other guys as one sprite, and then we'll also get these four. So if you don't do it, it'll probably be okay, but a lot of times you guys are going to cut up the whole sprite sheet, and it's going to get cuts of other parts of the sheet that don't have things you don't even want on it, and it's going to make it a little bit more confusing to deal with. So what we do to select those slices is we make sure we have this selected. We hit here, hold down Control. Let's see. Let's make sure we're getting this here. There we go. Hold down Shift, and then select the other slices that you want. That'll only get those slices. We're going to hit Save. And we're going to put this on the desktop. It usually puts it into a file called Images. and I'm going to say this is Mega Man Idle. That'll help you out if you do these one set at a time, so you can just go into that folder and you can find the specific animation that you want. So I'm going to hit Mega Man Idle. We're going to minimize that. Here it is. Here's our images folder. And we have our Mega Man Idle. Okay? So it also captured a lot of other stuff, but oh, I had other Mega Man characters cut out, so it put them all together. Okay, well that's fine. See, it's got the jump and everything in there as well. It's got that. Let me see. Maybe I did that a little different. Save for web. We're going to try it again. Want this one, this one, this one, this one. And I think I know what I did wrong, because we actually don't want everything in here. We just want the slices, right? So what I do is when I go to save, it says images only, HTML images only. Okay, we're fine there. I left it as all slices. Okay, so it didn't matter whether I picked those or not. I need to do selected slices. So that'll give me what I want. So let's do idle. And that'll give us another images folder on the desktop. Or I might just drop it in the same one. Okay, so now we have idle. Here we go. So here we are. There's the ones we want to use. I could probably just get rid of the rest of them because they're just noise at this point. Alright, so we have all of our idle right here. You'll notice the numbers aren't necessarily in any order because we slice them going down. That's another nice thing about going from left to right. It'll usually put those numbers in order. It may start at 5, but at least it'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? In this case, we got 3, 7, 11, 14, 18. It's okay. We can still work with this. More than likely, this is going to be the first one, second one, third one, all the way down. Okay? It does look a little weird. Let's see how he looks whenever we drop. Now we have Gamesalad open. I've just made a little test project, and we need to go in, make an actor, and call him Mega Man. And we're going to go to our scene, our initial scene. We don't show any actors there. Call him Mega Man. Don't have to have a name if you don't want to, but it sure makes things easier, I'll tell you that. Now for images, I haven't put any images in yet. You can either drag the images in, or you can go down here, hit the little plus, find those images on your desktop. I've got them inside here. Select all the ones you want, and then they'll show up in your images. Now, one thing that's kind of handy with this sort of stuff is name them in a way that you will be able to find them easily, because they're all going to show up here together. Okay, you're not just going to pull up the Mega Man stuff, the Rock stuff, the bad guy stuff. They're all going to show up inside images. So what we need to do, first thing is we'll give this guy a character so we can drag him out here. Okay, and then we need to give him an animation. Now the nice thing about Gamesalad is it knows if you're adding more than one image, you're trying to do an animation. So if we go into this actor and I grab all of these and drag them in, it automatically pops up the animate behavior. Kind of handy. Okay. The only thing you have to do after this is figure out, now, do I want to keep it at 10 frames or should I lower it down a little bit? Obviously, the faster the frame rate goes, the faster it's going to act. You know, it's going to just go really, really fast as it's trying to stand there still. Or you might need to lower it down. Sometimes when you play with this, it makes it look a little weird as they're moving because the steps don't match how fast or slow they're going. So there's one way to take care of that, and that's just adjusting your speed right here. Let's go ahead and hit preview. And he's really small. Okay, so I need to make him bigger. There we go. This is probably going to look a little goofus. Yeah. It's too fast. It looks like it's missing some frames in between, so don't get discouraged if you pull it in and like, hey, this is awesome, it's 6 frames. That looks a little strange, right? Okay. Now, if I was to pull in something from another set of assets that I have, this one right here is one I've used quite a bit, and it's a walking one. Okay, so if I drag this down into here, now I've got these. Let's say I want to bring Bob up here. He's going to be Bob. And it's just a walking animation. I go into Bob, give him that walking animation. This one's pretty pretty normal. It's a classic cartoon reference, so that's why it's got the look that it does. He's going to bounce a little bit as he moves. So I did not drag him into the scene yet. Let's drag him in here. He'll be right next to Mega Man. Now this looks a little more normal, right? This looks a little bit better. So as you're perusing your sprite sheets, check and see, does it look like it's really stepping to the next one? Does it look like we're moving on normally? Or does it look like there's a big jump? Okay. This ghost is pretty easy. It doesn't have any legs, so you know, if you need a flying character, don't have anything that looks like it should be landing on something. Like if you find a bird and it's standing on something, once it takes off, its legs are still going to be sticking out unless you decide to edit them out. Okay? But they're not going to pull them up in the animation. You're probably just going to have to cut them out as they take off if you want that to happen. Something to think about as you're going through these things. So that's how you're going to drop your animations in. Of course, changing the animations so they activate or are triggered only when you want them to, that's going to be a little bit of code. Okay? But main thing is name your animations so you can find them easily. Make sure you understand what you're looking for when you're trying to go out and find these animations. And truthfully, the best thing you can do for yourself is try and find an animation that has at least 8 frames for that animation. See, I left this 8th frame out. I need to add it in there. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So we have our 8th frame. There we go. And I bet you it's a little bit smoother now. It looks way smoother compared to Meth Head Mega Man there. So that's it for now, guys. Do you have any questions so I can add them to the recording? Any questions? Anybody? Everybody's good? Okay, cool. So I'll have this up on YouTube. I'll link it on the resources on our project briefcase, and you guys will have this to refer back to. Okay?